Good morning, folks, from the greatest lunatic asylum in the world. It's called Ireland, a little island called Ireland. And latest report I have for you folks is interesting. I was walking along the Royal Canal near my home in Castleknock yesterday, and I met a guy who looked like Roderick OGorman. So I asked him if he was Roderick, and he said yes, he was. So I said to him, uh, "What's to become of the tourist industry in Ireland, Roderick, with the continual invasion of all these migrants and the hotels all being full of them? What's going to happen this summer?" And he listened to me attentively, actually, for about 15 minutes, very politely. And I explained to him that I had lived in the Canary Islands for many years, and I caught the last flight back to Dublin just before the airlines all stopped flying when the pandemic became very serious. And I told him that I went back afterwards, just as in the middle of the pandemic when flights did resume, and I was on an empty plane going through an empty airport. But when I got to my home in Puerto Rico, I looked around me with great awe and saw that every apart hotel was full. But it wasn't full of tourists, it was full of illegal migrants who had arrived from all over Africa, North Africa, mostly Moroccan, Tunisian, Algerian, but everywhere. So asked a local policeman what's going on there when I met him in the hardware store, and he said they've all arrived and by boat, and they will be sent to Madrid eventually, and repatriated to their homes. But this was not happening during the end of the pandemic. The island did not really reopen for tourism because the hoteliers were making a lot of money from the Red Cross, and they kept all their migrants in the hotels, and the possibility of small businesses who had almost gone bankrupt getting back to business was looking very grim. So all the small business people got out on the streets in the town of Puerto Rico and the bigger resort in Playa de Ingles, and went on a big protest march against the continual residency of all these people and the fact that tourism was not resuming. So the local regional government in Spain heard their voices. I explained all this to Roderick, and they brought in a law declaring that the hoteliers had to empty their rooms within 3 months of illegal migrants and end their contract and resume the tourist industry and open their beds to tourists. So they went and did this, fair dues to them, because they were threatened with punitive fines of thousands of euros every week. So all went well then after that, but it didn't stop the boats coming there. Old fishing boats still arrive every week in the Canaries, and they're suffering from the invasion as much as Ireland. Um, the old army barracks now in Tenerife and Gran Canaria are still full, and as they repatriate them to Madrid, who sends them back after great effort and trouble to the countries they came from, which is not an easy task either. They keep coming over and over and over again. It's so if you folks think Ireland and England are the biggest sufferers of this, you may well know that Germany wants no more, Denmark wants no more, Norway wants no more, Hungary is leaving the European Union over it. Everybody is trying to stop this now, but nobody seems to know how, or nobody seems to be willing to put up their hand. All these overpaid bureaucrats in Brussels have no solution. They're like a bunch of generals in an army, and the invasion forces they cannot cope with. They don't know what to do. They won't admit it to anybody, and it seems to be unstoppable. They won't take the firm action to do it because of the Red Cross and United Nations, uh, human rights issues, and all that sort of thing. But Europe is in huge crisis as it is, so we don't need people in the United Nations, whoever they may be, to tell us that we must keep taking more migrants because we can't. Europe is full, Ireland is full, Denmark is full, Sweden is full, and it's got to stop. Now, I understand, I think Roderick and Leo are making efforts now to contact some of the safe countries where they come from and try and organize repatriation. But they're not even telling people that. They ought to get their act together, and inform us definitely of their plans and who they've been in touch with in these countries and what progress they're making in terms of repatriating the illegal migrants who are just opportunists and looking for jobs which, okay, they may be here in terms of menial labor, but they will never, never, ever be able to settle down here and buy a house and rear a family. There will always be a charge on the state. No matter what menial jobs they get, there will be a charge on the state to house them and to feed their families and their wife and their when they bring their parents and grandparents over and all that sort of thing. So anyway, I've no more to say. Roderick is a nice guy, I have to say, very polite. Listened to me attentively for about 15 minutes, which is more than a lot of people do. So I enjoyed the chat with him, and good luck to everybody for the moment from Sean Citizen in the lunatic asylum called Ireland.